So in permaculture style and homesteading style, sometimes you use what you have. Those old chicken coops down there are really not tall enough, as tall as I would like them to be. They're kind of hard on the sides to walk under, but I think they'll do for now. So this is where they're going to go. So I just started. I'm going to kind of clearing up the slope in this little spot using my trusty Yanmar tractor. So I'm going to clear this spot out right here, take some measurements and stake this out, and then start preparing the soil and get those old coops moved up here. We have so much wildlife. We have so much wildlife out here that it's we got to have something to protect all the vegetables and things. So I figure that those old coops with the chicken wire on them and put some shade cloth over the top, I think those will work out just fine for a while. So I'm going to get back to the project and finish clearing out the soil along this bank so I can get a nice flat spot here. Well, it's funny how one thing leads to another in every project, it seems. So what I've decided is, since I'm wanting to put that shade house right here, kind of where the tractor's sitting, I've got all this firewood, and I need to get all this firewood moved. So I'm going to move that over here and get a better spot for it, so the front of the greenhouse and the back of the greenhouse will be cleared, plenty of space. Well, I'm back at it. So I'm working on this shade house project. And so I've got the tiller hooked up to the Yanmar tractor, and I'm going to do some tilling. We have this hard clay pan that's underneath. I mean, most everything on the surface is super soft sugar sand, like a beach with no ocean. But back here, when I've scraped down, clearing this or flattening this out a bit, you can see this red. This is more of a clay and seems pretty hard. So I'm going to see what the Yanmar will do to break this up. But I want to break this up before I move the shade house here, so that adding soil amendments will be easier. Compost and mulch and those kind of things that need to go in here, as well as breaking that pan so that water will drain through that. I don't want the water to stand, and usually when you have a hard clay pan, it tends to let the water stand, and I want to make sure that that area where I put this structure is going to drain well. So one thing after moving out here to the new homestead we've noticed is the water, for the most part, doesn't pool. It doesn't pond up almost anywhere. This ground, the sand, everything goes right through it. So I still want to break this up, make it easier, and that way when I move the structure here too, I'd like to put the bottom rails of that structure somewhat embedded in the soil so that they're not sitting on top. It should help with any wind or anything like that. But I'm not too worried about the wind in this particular spot, but you never know. So we've got this large bank behind it to protect it from the north wind. And then we have our barn dominium, our teaching school and shop right here that blocks it from the south wind. So as windy as it is down the hill from us right now, you might be able to see the trees up there, the upper stories of the trees blowing around pretty good. But this spot where I'm working right here is pretty much blocked from the wind. So should be a good spot, good sun exposure, and pretty well protected. So I'm going to get the Yanmar going and see what it's like to till up this clay. gotten this section tilled up where the shade house is going to go, and I've got a couple of areas. So we have some driveway, or some rock here. I got into that just a little bit, so there's a few pieces of rock in this, but I've gone over it twice now, and there's still quite a bit of this clay material that's not breaking up, and a few small stones, but the clay is really getting broken up pretty easily. I may go over this a couple of more times just to get it as loose and as broken as I can, but for the most part, even after tilling the clay, let's see how far I've gotten down with that. I've gotten down here a good bit. Wow. So I start to hit a hard surface that's probably about, I don't know, 8 inches deep or so. So this is all broken up. It's nice and loose. But again, I think I'm going to go over this just a couple more times with the tiller, get as much of that softened up as possible, and mixing the sand and the clay so I don't end up with another hard pan here on the top. And hopefully that will be good enough to get the water to pass through. So also, I'm not doing it right up against the bank. I'm going to leave a little bit of space there for the wildflowers and things, and so I'm really not going to straighten that bank out a whole lot, and just see how it goes. So the tiller on our Yanmar here is a 6-foot Rhino, and it did a great job, made short work of that. So I love my little Yanmar tractor, my T235. Quite the workhorse. It does a great job here on our small farm and homestead. So I guess the next step is I'm gonna till this up a little bit better, and then it'll be time to go get the 2 structures that I'm gonna make the shade house out of. I have to get those on a flatbed and move them up here, and I'm sure I'll still have some leveling and some dirt work and stuff to do. A lot of that'll be by hand, but it's coming along pretty good. Well, that wasn't too bad. It was actually pretty easy. These little frames are not very heavy. So I got them moved up here. Now it's time for me to get these spaced and see how the shade cloth is going to go on them. But here we go. So these are the chicken coops that we ordered off Amazon. They did not work out as chicken coops. The predators just go right through this fencing. So not good for chickens, but we're going to put it to another use. So the money is not totally wasted. We're going to get these guys put to use. So once I get it spaced out properly, I'm going to dig on the sides of it right here and across all the way around, and so that this bottom rail is somewhat buried in the soil, buried underneath. And then because it was a chicken coop, both pens have a fence between them. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to use that material to fence between them right here. And but I don't want to do that until I get the shade cloth on. So we brought with us shade cloth from our old homestead and our market gardens there. And I've got that shade cloth material right here in our teaching room, in our barn dominium. And so these are the shade cloths. They are 40% shade reduction. So I'm going to stretch those guys out from end to end over there on those frames and see how the spacing works out for them. So I'll get back with you as soon as I figure that out. All right, well, it's on there. Now I just got to make some adjustments to it and get it all in the right place and tie everything down. Looking pretty good. Thanks to my assistant. It took a little bit of acrobatics, but we got it done. So there we go. We have the shade house. A couple more things to do here. I've still got to cut out the end walls between the two coops there, so that we can obviously walk through. And I think after I get the trench dug along the edges down here and get it in the soil just a little bit, if it still feels nice and stable and everything, I'm going to take that centerpiece out, but we'll wait and see on that. But if I take those centerpieces out, then we'll have a little bit smoother place to walk through there. But so far, turning these old chicken coops into something more usable, a shade house to protect our plants from the summer heat, we should be doing pretty well. So we turned them around, they're back to back, so we have a door on either end. So that worked out really nice. With the help of my lovely assistant, we got the shade cloth put up there. And I still need a few more of these bungees, these little bungees I'm using to hold these on here. These don't really last all that long, but they typically do a pretty good job for a good while. So next thing is just to get this thing, we got a really strong wind and everything is staying put. But I'll have to order some more of those bungees. But so this side over here, this is the south side. So we pulled it down further on this side to get more protection. And the north side, we just put it along the very edge of it. So should be okay. We may have to make some adjustments depending on sunlight and such, and we may end up having to pull the north side over here up further on the roof and pulling the south side maybe even all the way to the ground. So we'll just have to wait and see how it works out. It's kind of one of those trial and error things, but the little doors here, they work good. And there we have it. It's going to be our shade house. All right, next step, adding some compost and building up these beds. So I cleared out just a little walkway here through the middle. I've taken the fence wire out of the center and I've started shoveling out the compost material. This is finished compost from Texas Organics near Tyler. Looked through a bunch of them yesterday trying to find the type of material and loam that I wanted. And so I got a yard in the back of my truck. So it's going to take me a little while to get all that shoveled out and put in place. But was really happy with this one that I found. It is, again, that's from Texas Organics, and it was $37.89 for 1 yard, including tax. So pretty good looking soil. Some of the other ones I looked at yesterday had quite a bit of sand. It was just too much sand in it. Well, we already live in sand, so I really didn't want a lot of that. So they were just filling it with sand to make it go further. But this was actually finished compost. It's got a little bit of wood debris in it still, but it is all in all very nice, very well finished. May even have a little bit of expanded shale, little pieces here and there. It does have a little bit of sand, but not like the other ones that I saw yesterday. So I'm going to get busy filling in these beds in here, and we are not far away from being able to plant in it. All right, so we're looking good. We've got just a little bit of soil left, a little bit of compost left. I'm going to use for some perennial beds down front, like strawberries and some other plants that we've purchased for the perennial garden area. But that is 3/4 or more of a yard spread in these beds in here. So it's looking good. We'll get this watered. I will also want to add some expanded shale and some alfalfa meal and blood meal and things like that, some amendments to it. But other than that, it is good to go. So hope you like our video. Please subscribe, and we will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.